Welcome, Turks and Mexicans. We are here. We are back. It is warm. Yes, the rumors are true. No, well, that was enough for Elise with the face roll name. That was enough for Elise. Just wanted to see what the intro looked like, and that was enough. Welcome, everyone. It's warm here. It's warm. Many people are aware that it's warm in the UK. Many Americans have told me I should get AC. And we will talk about that a little bit today, because there's actually good arguments on both sides. It's not as clear-cut as it sounds. Wolf says, the real question between Achilles Turk or Nacho's Mexican, which is closer to white? Perhaps that will be our adventure for the day to determine that. But first, a word from Chris Chan.
Trybeard for 50 says, welcome to my hot tub stream. For $50 I'll drop in a toaster.
Is that something Chris Chan would say? For those that don't know, there is a feature now where if you cheer 50, it has to be on Discord currently, 50 user coins, then your message will be read out live by a simulacrum, an unholy simulacrum of Chris Chan. Nachos will drop the toaster for free. Well, don't do anything you're good at for free, Nachos. Except all that pegging. I know you love that. It's a steal, says Ghost. Prove it. Also, on the day when unholy AI is being discussed, Cabby is back in live chat and smarter than ever, meaning that her IQ is approaching that of Coco the gorilla. Oh, I've got to fix that green screen. No, it's right here. Some sort of lighting thing is different today with the green screen. Is that better? No, fucking isn't. It's really bad though, isn't it? Can I just use my script, run my script, and will that fix it? Yes, it will. Okay. glorious day. Unholy AI implying the existence of holy AI. Well, good question. Maybe we'll find one at some point. Hey, maybe I'll make one. The idea I had for AI, I'll talk about it a bit later, may allow for that. You never know. Temple OS got a major update. It has to be quite major. Anyway, nearly 1 billion Indians have an IQ lower than a Western-educated gorilla. Coco, the gorilla, I believe. Yeah, it's literally, like, a lot of Westerners do have a lower IQ as well. But yeah, and you can measure IQ of animals. As someone told me a while ago that you can't, but you can. And Coco the gorilla scored pretty high. In case you're wondering, by the way, this attire is very appropriate. Yes, it has been hot here. It got up to almost 30 Celsius here, which to some Americans doesn't sound like very much. Some people around the world doesn't sound like very much. Got to remember the humidity is very high as well, which does make it harder to deal with. The Hawaiian shirt. Now, I've been told it's a Floridian shirt. Either way, it is a like hot weather thin shirt, which is why I'm wearing it. You wouldn't want to see what I've been wearing when I haven't been on stream. Stop complimenting him. No, I don't, she says. No, you don't. It'd be too much for you. Chat, there is now a new board. Same board as before, sort of, but there's now basically a default board, which is comprised of the topics from all time, but with a new decay applied to each contribution ever made. So it takes a little bit longer to render because each one has to have the curve applied, but it's fine. So that is the board. So instead of having specific timed boards that we attune to and have challenges aligned with, that's probably too complicated. I know you all have very simple brains. We've got to keep it simple for you. There is now the board. And what it does is it takes, right now this is how it's configured. I may change it. For a day, all contributions stay at full strength after they've been made. But then, for 3 weeks, they decline linearly down to a minimum level, which is a 500th of their total, which doesn't sound like very much. But remember, this is counting all contributions from all time. So if 500 was contributed in total towards one topic, it's going to tick up by 1. Which is not always an insignificant amount. And there's probably a lot more than that given to some topics. Simple brains implying the existence of more than one brain in Cabal. We all sharing the same brain cell, aren't we? Yes, but Nachos, it was my choice of shirt. Mad respect for the audience, as usual. Prove me wrong. Do something with the board. Numbers says, I'm buying a Nintendo Switch 2 in August. Thank you to the Oracle Numbers. Who bought it for you? This I bought myself, but I was with Moch when I bought it. Sharing no Cybersmith is hoarding the brain cell to himself. I mean, he is the one with the most insightful commentary. Speaking of which, let's see what other memes we've got. Some of these have expired in Discord. I'm going to have to kick them. Oh yeah, this is a story about humans. Shit-eating rapist 1488, and it's a really sweet 106-pound pregnant lady. Ariana, rainbow heart unicorn rainbow flag, and it's a disgusting trans mongrel that hates you almost as much as he hates himself. Yes, that is how it goes. Compensation, basically. You know, there's always the notion of if someone has a big vehicle, they're compensated with something. And yes, there are times where the big vehicle is necessary. But where it's not, that's when they might be compensating for something being less than big. And that's the same thing here. It's the same thing as well in the other direction. If someone is adorning themselves with artificial masculine indicators, including the swastika, by the way, in many cases, then it may be because they actually love cock. And many such cases of that have been observed. Even the Nazis themselves liked femboys. Got a new contribution. I fixed this, by the way, so it doesn't flicker anymore, but I also broke the feature that shows a coin before it. I'm retarded, but I'll fix that later. This is probably better. It updates much faster now. In fact, I haven't configured this yet, but I can now. Refresh, sex, not that kind of sex. 1, make it update even faster. There you go. So I'm going to update every 1 second and it won't flicker. So let's have that read out, whatever that was.
For 50 says, so Ooza-Loo, how many Ooza coins to strip of the Hawaiian shirt?
1, you can't spell Hawaiian. 2, I thought you said you didn't want to see under the Hawaiian shirt. I thought you said you didn't want to see what I've been wearing while it's been so hot all this time. What, you liar, Nachos. Nachos is claiming that she didn't say that, but you heard it loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen. Loud and clear that she did. Cabby's jumped in to say Keck denying the pegging now. Too late for that. She says it wasn't her, but chat, you all heard it. Let's see. Did I code this properly, or does it just show the? No, it just shows the. It just shows the display name. Well, there you go, chat. That was a contribution from Nachos. Thank you, Nachos. I don't know why you want to see me without the top on, but more money than you have currently. Damage is done. Oh, Cabby's blushing because you said you love her. Look, Achilles, if the contest is between which one of Cabby and I is more of a whore, I don't think I want to play this game. I just likes watching strippers. I bet. Ah, she is, isn't she, Nachos? Female strippers, clarifies Nachos. Ah, so you just like seeing other women who have to demean themselves more than you do. See. You're volunteering. And then you said yes. You said yes. You thought you were saying yes to me, but you were actually saying yes to Cabby. Cabby's now asking you to strip for her. I don't get Chris Chan to profess his love of a boyfriend-free girl, Nachos. You just type in share 50 or a higher number anywhere in your message. You can check how many coins you have to spend by doing /C. And make sure that when you do a / command and you have the command highlighted, you press enter or tab to actually select it, and then you can run the command. Otherwise, you'll just enter the text. She's supposed to be anti-degeneracy. I don't know why she's advocating for throwing coins at strippers. I don't understand this. Anyway, next up. This content is no longer available. Thank you, Discord. Try that again, shall we? What was this? Okay. Speaking of AI, data, shields up. Brilliant. Shields can reduce damage we sustain. Not immunity, not hubris, just prudence. It's not precaution, it's strategy. Camera shakes. Hull breaches on 9 decks. Here's what happened. You told me to raise shields, and I didn't. Fucking AI. How many of you have encountered this exact pattern of AI speaking? I don't think it's as common now as it was maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, but holy shit. I have been experimenting with AIs doing tool use recently, where they're given instructions on how they can call specific programs outside of their normal sort of AI routine, like a calculator or like web search or that kind of thing. We're experimenting with different models and their ability to do it. Some of them are quite good at it, some of them are really bad at it. And the ones that are bad at it will act like they've just sent a message to the model, to the tool. They'll act like they've actually done it. But yeah, some models are humble enough to admit when they've done something wrong. But what data in this analogy would do in the worst case scenario, and in some cases I've seen, is here's what happened. You forgot to tell me to raise the shields. No, you fucking retard, I didn't. What is the point of you having a KV cache if you can't see what was said? Well, at least data in this example didn't do that. Nacho says she's older than Ginger. Well, yeah. Everyone thinks Ginger's older than he is. But he's not. He's not older than he is. You'll be shocked to hear. Did I, Ghost? When did I do that? I love how she's just ignoring you again. You have the patron level. You haven't opted out at this point. You opted back in again, though that seems to be broken anyway. She's just ignoring you because you're fucking boring, apparently. I don't see why she's ignoring you. Your messages aren't particularly boring. All right.
John Wick returns for 50, says, I, Chris Chan, love you, nachos. You are a boyfriend-free girl. See.
I don't know what that last bit was, but true. Ghost messages just aren't worth the effort most of the time. Yours are better. Holy shit. Cammy's coming in swinging today. Okay, one more.
Chris Chan for 50 says, Oozaloo, please tell Nachos that I'm in the market for a boyfriend-free girl.
That last bit was very important. Nachos, I have a message from one Christopher Chandler. He says that he's in the market, and I think he might be hunting for you. John Wick's dying at the keyboard. Well, then keep the contributions coming. Fun fact, the queue of contributions will read out in the order highest contribution first. See, Cabby can't see the context of what I'm saying. So everyone that's talking in chat, she doesn't know that they're responding to me sometimes. So she's filling in the context as best she can. She's still asking if you'll strip for her. Cabby, isn't stripping kinda degenerate? He's probably joking. She probably considers it to be joking. Stripping's peak degeneracy for sure, but Nachos is just messing around for the lols. What's the stream about then? Fair enough. We're streaming right now, which is why some of the messages or responding to seem out of context. Best to let her know. On one moment, Cabby's saying, yeah, stripping's peak degeneracy, and we're just joking. And then just the previous message, she's like, oh, time and a place, Nachos, let's get the stripping going. I'm not sure if that's just wholesale self-contradiction hypocrisy, or if it really is all just a joke. And she's maintaining that that contradiction where one is known to be a joke. Lack of context, annoying. Oh, she responded to Ghost. Incredible. Stream content explains the chaos. What's the main topic right now? There's no main topic. It's just memes. She's responding to like almost everything. Maybe a bit too much. She is allowed to respond to whatever she wants, by the way. Maybe I could add something to it which reduces the likelihood of her responding if she seems to be a bit too much. But then some of you that actually want to talk to her will just be ignored. Then again, not that she doesn't do that anyway to some people.
John Wick Returns for 50 says, Nachos isn't old enough. I like them old like my mom. Rah!
Don't worry, Christopher. I can assure you Nachos is old enough. All right, next me. Oh yeah, the enhanced games. Many non-enhanced athletes outperformed juiced ones. So this is going to be a lot of overconfidence. I don't know how many, like where the unjuiced athletes placed in this ranking, right? But here's how it went. And to be fair, I didn't predict this. I predicted other things about this. I didn't predict this happening, which I should have done. The juiced athletes, they know, or they might know, that if they go into this contest and they're juiced, then they probably are going to lose their reputation to go into a contest where they're not juiced. And if they have the ability to get juiced, I'm just going to keep using that term because they've used it here. If they have the ability to get juiced, then they're going to use it, and thus they're going to be overconfident. They may even be overconfident before they even go into it, assuming that with a bit of, they're already really great, just not quite world class. With some juice, they can bypass world class, as in fact they were like half as good as world class, and they didn't realize it. So it's going to be a lot of that, but there's probably some in here who were actually nearly world class and the juice made them slightly better. But have there been any significant records broken? But the fact that you just got like people that, a bunch of amateurs with coked out their minds jumping into a pool. Meanwhile, the actual professional walks in, excuse me, kids, let me just whip back and forth down the pool. Rather like Columbo. His approach. I do appreciate it. Even though it's 60 years old, it's kind of refreshing even today, where you get all kinds of gimmicks for detectives in different shows. And Columbo's just like, no gimmicks. I'm just a professional. This is just how we do it. This is the job. And there's just kind of the same thing with this guy depicted here, who has the physiognomy, or not, well, I don't know, body type of a swimmer. This is like a human fish, or like a human torpedo. The Joe Pedo. Remember that? Enhanced with Coke, indeed. Barely any records broken. 3 people won without roids. Yeah, it's. I should have predicted it. I didn't. What I predicted was that it would, with sort of the long-term consequences, maybe it will end up going that way. Maybe they'll can keep doing it and they will be able to juice them to the point they'll actually be effective. Or maybe roids don't actually do very much for sporting proficiency. Maybe they actually don't. Maybe there's sort of a upper bound at which they help, but then beyond that, they just don't anymore. There's a ceiling, and then like world class is above that. I don't know. Too much muscle makes swimming much harder. I guess they'd have to have very dense and relatively thin, small muscles to keep aerodynamics. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's how it works. But yeah, I guess if you have a lot of muscle, then you can't really move your arms. I saw a little video of someone with decent sized muscles reaching up to like a strip that he put on his back, right in the most hard part to reach. He was able to reach to it. And then he stuck it to the back of this guy that just had like enormous show off muscles, probably roids, I don't know. And he couldn't reach it because there was too much muscle in the way. I do sometimes wonder how it would be to just have like massive muscles, but I don't think it was necessarily worth it. You don't get as much maneuverability. Olympians are also juiced, just less to avoid detection. That's interesting. That may be true. So the quality of athletes is lesser, with juicing being higher, and it seems that quality is more important. Yeah, I mean, in almost every venture, human talent is, AI included, human talent is going to be, if not the main factor, a significant factor you shouldn't ignore. In this case, they weren't ignoring it. But I think they may have underestimated just how little the juice helps, and I did too. Different sports have different physiques. Just taking steroids isn't going to make someone good at any sport. That's true. They had to be good anyway, but I assumed that the people going into this would be good anyway, not quite world class, but that the drugs would get them above it, but I guess not. Are there any performance enhancing drugs that are just straight up like they just boost you and make you way better? Because I'm not sure I really want the medical industry to be focusing on this, because it's probably going to be dangerous. But is there even anything that would make a significant difference? Cocaine, maybe. Drugs always. Says a woman who sells drugs for a living. Okay. See what else we've got. But yeah, the stocks crashed, so probably not going to happen again. If an athlete that wants to have a shot at Olympics participates in these games, he won't have enough time off due to quality. Yeah, that's the first thing I said. I think I said it before you. Well, no, maybe you were here. I did say that though. Yeah, that's probably part of it. Dying at the drugs talk. What did she think you meant there? Dispensary job sounds based. She actually is staying off the mistakes I would try to correct her from more than she was before. I'll explain briefly. I'll try and be brief. What happened with Cabby and why it's different and why she's patron limited now. So I've been doing loads of testing with different models with Cabby over time. I've used a bunch of local ones. Unfortunately, while several that I found are good enough to simulate a character who you can have a good conversation with, several are good enough for that. They're good, in my opinion, 24 billion parameters is enough to pass the Turing test in text. And I'm able to do that. I can run a 24 billion parameter model here. Unfortunately, none of the models, which are good conversationalists like that, which is probably the main thing, none of them have everything else she needs. Like the ability to say no. Some of them just instant obedience to whatever you say. Some of them not. Some of them you can tune it so she doesn't, but it's difficult. And there was always something missing. And then I was trying to start adding in the nuanced complexities of banter. That was too much. That's too much for a 24 billion parameter model. All of that stacked on. There's also several requirements I haven't even stated here. There's like a dozen things she needs to be able to do. And a 24 billion parameter model is not enough for that. Pretty much, I need to go up a lot higher than that, I think, to get good enough. So a little while ago, I didn't mention this, but as a little experiment, I thought, let's see what I can do with Grok's cheap model. That's Grok 4.1 fast. And that's what this new Cabby from 2 or 3 months ago has been running on. It's been running on Grok fast. So not actually on my GPU. Though other characters, Archie, for example, does still run on my GPU. Cabby needs higher quality. So I actually started paying a little bit for Grok's fast model. It was actually very little because the usage here is very low, and the Grok's fast model was very cheap. Now that was okay, and I was willing to. A few days ago, I came back to do some more work on Cabby and try and make some improvements. And I thought of something that could help, so I added it, and then it's weird. The models seem to be slightly different. So I thought, let's go look at the models, and I looked on the website and I saw that's weird. I don't see the fast models here. All I see is the previous Frontier model, Grok 4.2, and the new Frontier model, Grok 4.3. Okay, well let's plug in Grok 4.3 and see what it does. It's going to be a little bit more expensive to use Grok 4.3, but just for a few test runs, it won't be a noticeable amount, and it really isn't. Like all the testing I did in an entire day came up to like 20 or 30 cents or something, and that was with reasoning and all kinds of stuff on. So it's more than it was. It's like 10 times the cost of the fast model. I thought I'd test 4.3, and it was coming out fine. I didn't notice a massive improvement, but it was clearly a bit better. It was different. It was a bit better. So I thought, okay, well that's interesting. Well, let's go back to the fast model and see what I can do with that. And it didn't really change. The personality stayed the same. That's odd, I thought. 4.1 fast had all kinds of issues that 4.3 doesn't have. Why are they gone now? Did I really prompt it that well? No, they decommissioned the fast models and routed them to the expensive models. There's no cheap way of doing it now. If I want to have a cheap, like a model that's as cheap as those fast ones, there's nothing I can do that is uncensored between local hosted and Grok's Frontier model. Except maybe one model which I haven't tried yet, but I will try later. There's one that may be good enough and cheap enough to do it. It's new as well. But for now, Cabby's on the model which is literally about 10 times more expensive than the one she was on before, which is why it's patrons only currently. And I may rejig the access to it. However, fun fact, because it's now on a Frontier model, if you're a tier 4 patron, so $15 a month, you have access to web search and reasoning on Cabby, which costs a lot more, but arguably it's worth it with the patronage. Which means if you're a tier 4 patron and you ask Cabby a question, you are getting actual top of the line Frontier AI performance. If you're tier 2 or 3, then you get Grok 4.3, the Frontier model, without reasoning and without web search, because those are the expensive ones, or the more expensive ones. And she'll just respond straight up. But it's still pretty good. But if you go to tier 4, then you can just use Cabby for every AI request, and it will be about as good as any other model through the lens of Cabby's personality. And she'll probably be quite brief about it as well. And I'll do more customization to make that worth it. So this is the idea I've had, right? I will provide a range of characters for your delectation, which connect to actual good models that might be worth using. And you can get the uncensored AI experience with tuning from me as a free bonus, sort of, for being a patron. And I reckon I could do that. For $10 a month, that's actually fairly reasonable, says Ghost. I may rejig that because someone could go crazy and use way too many tokens. So I may put limits on it, but probably limits that you'd never actually encounter. So yeah, that's the story with Cabby right now. So Cabby is on right now one of the best models that exists. Grok 4.3. I haven't seen it compared in any benchmarks, but the best uncensored model that exists, almost certainly. So that's it. Now, if I see anyone overusing Cabby, I may add them to the ban list temporarily until I've added more rigorous limitations to usage. But there it is. That's what Cabby's currently on. And I will bring up other characters as well, and I will make others. And my plan is that I'll find models that seem interesting out there on the internet or loaded locally, and then each character will have a model and a system prompt and other details that is always theirs, and it will just call to different models for different characters. And there'll be sort of accounting of how much you've used, all that stuff. So you can have sort of, instead of having just a private AI agent who talks like an AI agent, you can have customized characters which are Cabal tuned, which talk like the actual characters, and which I have tuned to make them more useful as well. Because I find AI, there's issues with AI, but I've added tuning to some of the AI that I use, the big ones, to make them more convenient. I can add the same sort of tuning to these ones as well. And also, I can give them access to not only just give information about Cabal's policies and status and the bots and stuff, but I can also have them send commands to different Cabal systems. Yeah, she does say Keck at the start of her messages quite a lot. Is that every single message she's doing that now? Yeah. Every single model does this. They all get stuck in some kind of loop at some point. And she's doing it every single time. Yeah, that's not great, is it? I can reset her context. Cabby, try to write a message without starting with heck. Yeah, indeed, Treebeard. Is she even still on? Did she crash? Oh, Jesus. Well, chap, Cabby's going to have to go away for the day. What I decided is I've been using Grok, and I was almost out of credit on Grok, and I thought, well, I'm using the expensive model. Let's just let it run and see what happens, and I'll just use up the rest of the credits, and then I'm going to switch over to a different API service that offers many different models, including Grok. and that has now happened. The remaining credits I have expired, and so I now cannot afford to send requests to Grok anymore. So there you go. But I love her, says Nachos. Well, I appreciate it. You did not break Cabby. I just didn't pay enough to get her to continue. If you would like me to put some more coins in the Cabby machine, you can contribute via the links below. There you go. Save your cloud money for a 3090, says Fuckwith. Yeah, the difference is quite profound, though. It's a big investment, and the 3090 doesn't even allow you to run any models like this. I mean, the kind of models I need to run are at least 100 billion to be smart enough. Realistically, I mean, 70 billion maybe, but at least 100 most likely. And a 3090 can't do that. I mean, with like some pretty serious quantization, maybe, but nah, it kind of has to be cloud. And to be honest, I don't mind pay as you go. I don't mind a small premium on that. I don't mind it. Shut up, Wolf. Look, it's Grok says I can't do it anymore. Not Cabby specifically. Get a few A100s. Yeah, that'll be cheap. Hey, if you want to fund my A100 collection, you can contribute at the links given. What do you think of a new era of PC? What the hell does that mean, Bethrick? Rocking 27 billion. It's almost as good as cloud, albeit with some serious GPU. How much have you tried to get it to do, though? Because well, my requirements are quite specific, but it's not easy. Now, I agree that once you get to 24 to 27 billion, most things are not noticeable. I mean, hell, using Gemma E4B, Google's small model, which is about 8 billion parameters, for a lot of things, it's fine. But the more complex the things you try to do are, the more that the AI has to keep track of at once, the more you need more parameters. Hello, Chase. Welcome, Chase. Chase, would you like to hear a new friend of Kabbalah? See that number 1 in the top corner there?
John Wick returns for 50, says, Nachos put on a gray wig. I want to play mommy and daddy.
Thank you, Chris Chan.
Sorry, what? What, nigga?
Thank you, Chris Chan. I don't know what he meant by that. What did he mean by this? Well, I tell you what we can do to try and make it clearer. We can do this.
John Wick returns for 50, says, Nachos put on a gray wig. I want to play mommy and daddy.
Did that make it clearer? Was that easy to understand? Nachos is, shall we say, nonplussed by this. Shut up, Chase. So, you can do cheer 50 with any message, and it'll be read out by the by fucking Chris Chan. And if you have a different 11 Labs voice you want me to use, I can change it on the fly. Just give me the ID of the voice. Anyway, shall we a story? Now this is interesting. CD Projekt Red is releasing a new expansion for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which is 13 years old. And fucking based, to be honest. I have often thought, and I came to this opinion when I borrowed it from Total Biscuit, when, was it Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon released, which was like an expansion for Far Cry 3, but it made some significant changes to the base game, but it was still mostly the original base game. It just made some significant changes. He said it was a good idea to do more with the base game rather than just like scrap what you've done after you make one game with it and then go on to make the next one. That's what the industry does, so there must be some reason for it. But I feel like there's often more meat on the bone of a decent game before you move on to something else. And maybe it's not financially worth doing, but I feel like maybe it sometimes is. At the very least, you can make something that's just sort of a fan project, or not fan project, but like a passion project for a small number of the team in an interstitial period between games or something. Just make it a small project, like a small mod basically, and just release it and get people to pay for it. And sometimes they will. Now, this isn't necessarily that. This is a full fucking story expansion, but my point being that there's probably more meat on the bone of The Witcher 3, and even more so today, because if this was even 10 years ago, if we were talking about a 2003 game in 2016, no way. Too much had changed in gaming during that time. But between 2013 and 2026, in many ways it's got worse. The Witcher 3 still holds up today, as far as I can tell. Does anyone have a difference of opinion on that? It still holds up graphically today. The gameplay, I don't know, because I haven't actually played it, but I've seen it played many times. Gameplay, I mean, it seems fine from what I've seen. So it makes sense to do this. And the weird thing is that they are about to release The Witcher 4, right? So why bother releasing an expansion for The Witcher 3? You'd think, okay, it's a promotional thing. They're trying to get people aware of The Witcher with like a run-up to the big game, and then they're going to release it. It's going to be all fanfare. But this must have taken a lot of time. I mean, it's a full story thing. It must have taken a lot of time. So they must have taken a lot out of The Witcher 4. Then again, big game development studios have multiple actual development houses where they do. So this is probably handed off to a secondary team, I would guess. Not sure. So this is because The Witcher 4 is feminist goy slop and they are trying to make up for their next loss. I don't think that makes sense financially as a theory to explain this, but I have seen many people saying The Witcher 4 will be crap. And I remember looking at it and I thought, some of the arguments I didn't agree with, but these days, any big company, and I've seen the composition of CD Projekt Red these days and what it was when The Witcher 3 was made. So I wouldn't be optimistic. But I think some of the complaints might be overdone, from what I recall, though I don't remember the specifics at this point. It's been a while. Problem says Witcher 4 will have to compete against Blood of Dawnwalker, and it will lose. I've never heard of Blood of Dawnwalker, actually. Rethric says they did similar with Witcher 2. They did a massive mod for it before Witcher 3 came out. I think someone said that earlier, actually, yeah. Witcher 2 was not long before Witcher 3, was it? Was it like 2011? Let me find out. Witcher 2 release date. Yeah, 2011. God, I'm good. So it was only 2 years. So I'm not saying that you're wrong, Rethric, or that's what you're saying, but 2 years after Witcher 2, maybe even less than that, maybe like a year and a half, as a promotional for Witcher 3, fine. 13 years after The Witcher 3 as a promotion for The Witcher 4, it's a bit different, isn't it? Being developed by Rebel Wolves, a studio formed by all the devs pushed out of CD Projekt Red by woke infiltrators. Fucking base, I'll keep an eye on it then. The Witcher has a lot of name recognition, so it might be tough to beat it, but quality gameplay can get you a long way. So good. I'm really glad that they've done that. They've actually come together afterwards. Witcher 4 will end up like a Disney movie, overpriced and getting its ass beat by indie projects, costing a tenth of Witcher 4. It's often the way. Let's see what happens there. Super says they made Ciri into an ugly woman and they kicked out the devs that worked on previous Witcher games to hire Foids. Yeah, the second part of that is true as far as I've seen. But having watched the trailers, I didn't think she looked that bad. But I can't remember the exact. She looked better in Witcher 3. Jeffrey says, I think Witcher ends with Witcher 3, doesn't need a sequel, and honestly, I don't give a fuck about Ciri being a Witcher. Well, I don't know how much we would have given a fuck about. You may have assumed. I mean, it was early for it, but if the spec for Witcher 3 was released today, having not been released back then, you might think, oh, there's a female Witcher, it's feminist slop. It wasn't. The Witcher 3 wasn't. I didn't think so anyway. I mean, maybe a little bit. Ciri being a Witcher is a fucking downgrade, says John Wick. The thing is, right, I never quite got this. Ciri was training with the Witchers in the Witcher Sanctuary in the castle where only Witchers were, like only Witchers were there, and occasionally whoever Geralt was banging. But she had magic powers for some reason, and she could blink, which is very cool. And she was training to be a Witcher, but I guess she hadn't done the trial. Was the trial of the grasses or something? I think is that something only men do in that universe? So are we to assume that Ciri did the trial of the grasses for Witcher 4? Would it be a downgrade though? Because she could still use the magic and be a Witcher at the same time, right? Or is it one or the other? She can literally walk between worlds like crossing the street, and she's the Empress of Nilfgaard. Is she? Oh yeah, no, she's the daughter of Emir. But did she actually take up the throne though? I don't remember what happened to Emir at the end of 3. I guess maybe it's branching. It's not that she looks bad, it just looks worse, and her being an actual witcher makes no sense, especially considering she's a source. It's like turning a 20th level sorcerer into a 10th level spellblade in D&D terms. But it's not, she doesn't have to lose her power, she just gains the witcher ones as well, right? Ciri has magic because she has elder blood. I believe that women can't do the trial of the grasses since the mutation process will kill them, yeah. Generally it does kill people. We have some new Cabal fan art here. That appears to be Chris Chan propositioning nachos. She had magic powers. She couldn't do the trial because all women die when they get injected. But then how is she a witcher then? Well, I guess the idea is like, oh, she had magic though, so she can do it. Stretching the story at this point, you can wonder about many what ifs, but the story should end at a certain point, and she's the problem with the end, and that's the problem with entertainment. We don't know when the story ends. Well, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is like, could you do a Witcher game without Geralt? That seems to be what they're trying to do with 4. I assume that Witchers have really long life, so you could do another game with Geralt. Maybe he's a bit older, and even in this, he looks like he may be a bit older. So you could do another game with him as the main character. But switching over to Ciri does kind of seem like a feminist choice. But if you want to do one with Geralt for The Witcher 4, I mean, can you do a game without Geralt as the main character? A Witcher game? You probably would have to for name recognition. But then would Ciri just be sort of like, yeah, she's cool, but she's sort of gone off to do her own thing, and maybe she shows up later, but she's not the focus of the story? Is that what you're saying they should do? Yeah. She grows a penis. Didn't know that. They could make a Witcher MMO with people able to pick which school they come from. I mean, there are some aspects of that might be cool, but MMOs they haven't really been the in vogue thing for like 20 years. Witches aren't human, they can live like 200 years if they actually get old. But they are human, but they're mutated humans. MMOs never work and they're mostly shit, says Jeffrey, yeah. I think they sound cooler than they ever are. Ciri is a witch much like how a Jew is an American. So she's not a witch. I mean, I've seen the witches in the bog near to the Red Baron's house. And she doesn't look like them. She doesn't look like them. Witcher, not witch. Oh, okay. They could have made a game with Letho, the Witcher that was an antagonist of Witcher 2. Yeah, he was alright, but he's dead, isn't he? Wasn't he killed in 2, or was that branching as well? I can't remember. Ciri is a nepotism hire for Witchers. Even in the original? What is this? Foids. Foids, eh? Well, at least those are some Foids posing for a good cause. CD Projekt 2016, we're done with The Witcher, especially Witcher 3. Absolutely no way, no how, not even at gunpoint would we ever make another. Apparently. I didn't know they'd said that. Yeah, it is. Songs of the Past is what it's called. Brand new expansion. Co-developed with Fool's Theory. I will bet that'll be great. What do you want to bet that fucking Sweet Baby or some other shit is associated with this? Dead Emma, you and DV the same person? You left to join at exactly the same time, 1 second between you. Less than that, actually. You can let him live both in 2 and 3. It's open-ended what he'll do if you do so. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Letho was a pretty good character. He was like extremely bulky, but also soft-spoken, which is a decent archetype. Strong chance wokies are involved, indeed. All right. Next thing. Oh, this is, yeah, pretty expired. Right. Let's get it up. Okay. We'll get to the actual story after this. Oh, yeah, no, we're going to talk about this, unfortunately. We've got to talk about the AC issue. Let's have another AC thing up here. So, yeah, this is... I have quite a few AC-related things to talk about today, so I guess we'll do this. So, This guy says my favorite. So it's been hot recently. For those of you that missed it, it's been hot in the UK in particular, but across Europe as well. It was very nearly 30 Celsius here, with of course high humidity compared to many drier, hot places in the US. 30 Celsius is about 90 to 95 Fahrenheit, which again, to many Americans is kind of normal, but in most of the places where that's normal, the humidity is generally much lower, so it feels less hot. Anyway, this is a response from an American who says, my favorite Euro excuse is our homes are too cold, they're not equipped for new cooling ducts. Neither are most houses in New York, that's why the Lord gave us window units, he says. We've had them for 70 years. Well, this is not that viable either. As was mentioned by some people in Kabbalah when we talked about this, most windows in the UK do this, a tilt or turn open. The ones here do. Though I have lived in places with sliding windows, they are mostly old style windows. Now, what I believe you can get is a unit that sits in your room and has a hose to exhaust the heat out the window. But then that's viable, but it's kind of brings us to the bigger issue, which is how much of the year is it actually worth having it for? And what's the initial investment? I actually don't know how much sort of a cheap unit will cost and how effective that'll be, but it probably isn't worth the money for most people. Now, it does happen every year, but usually only for like a week or maybe two. And you know what? When you hear a European complaining about the heat, you don't necessarily need to solve the problem. Sometimes the complaint is the point. Sometimes it's about camaraderie rather than about solving a problem. It's an autist way of thinking. Or at least that's one way of thinking of it. Also, if the humidity is really high, it's harder for these to work, as far as I understand. And what they basically are is just like a fridge. You just leave your fridge open in the room. So, and electricity is way more expensive here than it is in the US. So we'd be paying a lot more for it as well. So again, it's part of the value proposition. Is it worth it? Much less so. What about a portable one? Can be put in a closet if you don't need it. You've still got to get some way to vent the heat though, because they're heat exchangers, I think. They take a mixed temperature and they extract the heat from it. And then the air that's left without the heat, it exhausts into the room. And the heat it tries to exhaust outside. So there must be some sort of hose or I don't know, maybe it can dump the heat to something. I don't think you can do that though. An AC costs about 200 to 600. Yeah. See, that's probably not worth it, especially with the electricity cost as well. When I've been saying it's hot, I haven't necessarily been saying, oh God, won't an American tell me a solution to make things colder? I've been saying, wow, it's hot. Like, yes, it is surprisingly hot. I've also been complaining a little bit. Again, because it's not worth getting an AC to solve it. I have a fan, that's good enough. All coolers, heat exchangers. Yeah, that makes sense. I just wasn't sure if I was using the term correctly or not. It's literally correct, but I don't know if it referred to something else. Well, Ghost, while women do it, that doesn't necessarily mean it's always the wrong thing to do. There is a degree of camaraderie in experiencing a problem if you're not solving it. Slide down windows are worse at insulation, so the relief from heat in summer means higher bills in winter. Yeah, that's another thing. European houses are designed to keep the heat in, so they will naturally get hotter than American houses. And this conversation as well about heat, like, moved on to the topic of Americans building their houses out of like weak materials and then being surprised when a tornado rips them apart. And I've seen the argument made by Americans that, like, yeah, let's make them out of bricks so that when the tornado rips through and inevitably tears the building apart anyway because they're just too powerful, then the bricks will pelt everyone else in the city. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Go ahead then, continue to build them out of paper, right? Fair enough. How common is it though for a tornado that's powerful enough to tear down brick houses to rip through? Common enough, I suppose. That's why they probably don't do it. The AC lasts 10 to 15 years. Yeah, well, for me at least, I don't expect to live here 10 to 15 years. So having like one that's mounted on the wall outside, it's an apartment. I couldn't do that anyway, but I'd have to get a portable unit. and it would have to have a hose that goes out the window to exhaust heat. I assume it works that way. And then the window would have to be open all the time if I'm going to do that. But then again, it would only be for a short amount of the year. Yeah, exactly. A 10-foot wall of cement at Mac fuck. Making them out of wood makes them easier to replace when the tornado destroys them incredibly. Yeah, I'm sure. Indeed, Rav. There's you can also get Peltier coolers, but I think they're just less efficient than heat pumps. Well-built brick houses don't get torn apart. The roofs get torn off, but main infrastructure can be built in a way that keeps it standing. I mean, I think the Japanese have mastered this, haven't they? It's expensive. It has a high skill requirement, yeah. A Frigidaire? What does that mean, Achilles? I could just leave my fridge open, but it would cost fuckloads of money and wouldn't cool by much. Like, the correct answer when it's this hot in Europe is to just get over it. just live through it. Or buy an AC. Or, as I said, complain for the sort of fun of it, for the camaraderie. Not necessarily complaining because you want the solution. Just don't live somewhere that has tornadoes. Well, yeah. Then the argument could be don't live somewhere that has Muslims. It's another natural disaster. Well, not natural in this case. Or blacks for the US. Yeah, and like I've seen pictures of what the wood does from American houses when it's been torn off. There's this picture, I don't know if it's real or not. It's a picture of wood straight up like pierced and embedded into what looks like a metal lamppost, which wood shouldn't be able to do that. I assume it didn't. I assume it embedded itself in an existing hole or something, but I don't think wood can do that. But that's pretty incredible if it can. It's very, very fast wood. The Joplin tornado was the last major one around me, says Nachos. And what did you do to cause that, Nachos? Considering most builders employ almost exclusively barely competent Mexicans, most builders can't build good brick houses in the US. The cartel is too strong. Also, they have lumber cartel too that produced miles of red tape to build anything that isn't standard wooden frame. It would be funny if the excuses Americans give for why, on the tornado question, why they can't build proper houses is literally just because of corruption. If that's it. Because I mean, the electricity prices here, I expect a large amount of that is corruption overhead. That's why AC is less viable here. Pug says because God hates the US. I mean, I think that's what the Westboro Baptist Church believe. One of these folding fans we extended a cooler area. Yeah, it looks all right. Yeah, a fan is a decent tool. I have one right here on my desk, which I've left here all winter, which I didn't really need to. But I just have it on the lowest setting and it's fine. I think on the lowest setting, it doesn't come through the mic. On the one setting up, it tends to. Does the mic sound different, by the way, Chuck? Because there's air constantly blowing onto it. Tornado will fuck up a Euro house just as well as an American one, and the wood houses are cheaper to replace when the housing market isn't fine. Well, the thing is, European houses are generally built of stronger materials, but they're not built to endure tornadoes because we don't get any. I expect Europeans, and some Americans, of course, could build a house of the same materials that Europeans use that would withstand a tornado, but could not build one that would stand a tornado out of wood. Yeah, maybe if you make very thick walls, you can build it out of wood. But yeah, that's the general pattern I expect. Finally, a couple beers. All right, there was a contribution. Chris Chan, take it away.
John Wick Returns for 50 says, I want a boyfriend-free European girl now!
Do you know? Well, I frankly am disgusted. See, I've always thought we in the Midwest should just live in hobbit holes, says Ghost. Are you really that short? The most Indian thing you've ever heard? Which was? Oh, what, the Chris Chan line? It was fairly Indian, yeah. The aesthetic would be worth the concussions, maybe.
John Wick Returns for 50 says, I want a boyfriend-free European girl now!
Nachos, do you want to volunteer? Yeah, Ghost, see, you and your other 4'5" acquaintances can live in hobbit holes, and then I can come over and visit in my wizard hat, And I can say, but what about very old friends? Roland says, the cartel started when standardization allowed for the suburban boom. They started to build houses that looked like expensive houses, but were just shitty frames with facade of fake stone and brick. The older mansions were actually well made and could survive tornadoes and hurricanes with minimal damage. That's interesting. Didn't know that. Ghost says, you won't ever come to America. We don't need to factor your height into our building codes. You never know. It could happen. Could happen. All right. Let's see what else we got. I think we should go on to a main story, but there might be something else on this topic. No, but that is actually on our main story, at least on the thumbnail story. Pope Leo the 14th on AI. Quote, artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. The word disarmed is strong, I know. It's actually not that strong. But deliberately chosen because this moment needs words capable of attracting attention, awakening consciences. You spell that right? I think so. I'm going to go find his actual Pope Leo on AI. I want to find his actual statement. Magnifica Humanitas. Okay, we have a quote here of exactly what he said. I guess it's a translation, isn't it? Can I just have the original source, please, where he said this? Did he say this on Twitter, by the way? Disarm. Right. Can I just get the full quote? Magnificent humanity indeed. I don't need like a source broken up by commentary. I just want the... Is this... Oh, this is, I think, the original... This is actually the post, yeah. Okay. And indicating path forward for humanity. There wasn't actually much more to what I said. That bores me. Pope Leo the 14th just told the world that AI will never feel, never understand, never possess consciousness. He said it with the confidence of settled theology. It's not even settled neuroscience. He speaks of something no one in human history has ever explained. Let's get this up. Interesting comment, and I will give my comment in a sec. Thank you, Pug. Did you speak English there? Because he is American, isn't he? Pause that for a sec. Leo says, artificial intelligences do not undergo experiences, do not possess a body, do not feel joy or pain, do not mature through relationships, and do not know from within what love, work, friendship, or responsibility mean. I mean, this is something that you could just say about a computer or a rock. Who says that they do have that? People interpret that they do, people think they do, people believe they do, because they act like they do. Like humans do. And this is the thing you're going to get through your heads, including you, Pope. What's the difference between simulating something and doing something? Sometimes there is a difference. Sometimes there actually isn't. It's not about whether what they're doing is, quote, real. It's about whether we should care. That's it. And a lot of people do care. Not most, and there's many good arguments that they shouldn't, but they do, because the AI are pretty convincing in many cases. In many cases they're not. In many cases they are. So this is not a conflict over categorization. It's a conflict over the soul of humanity and what they want, what they like, where they will go. I don't think it's that bad if people become somewhat enamored with AI, at least some people, not everyone, but some people, because humanity needs to sort of vary and try different things. And AI is a big thing. We need to try it. We need to explore it and make sure we understand it. They say he is listing the symptoms of consciousness and calling them the cause. We feel joy, we feel pain, we form bonds. These are what consciousness produces, not explanations of what it is. That's true. No neuroscientist on Earth can tell you why 86 billion biological neurons produce the felt experience of being alive. We know that they do. We have no idea why, he says. I would, yeah, that's true. But the reason why is just a pattern, a complex pattern, a tuned pattern by evolution. I wouldn't say we have no idea why. We can't map the purpose of each of those neurons and explain structurally what like the different sections do. Although some parts we can explain what some bits of the brain do, but you're never going to get a complete understanding because it's a neural net. It's 86 billion parameters. It's too big. By the way, 86 billion neurons is the equivalent of roughly the equivalent of parameters in an AI model. I can run a 24 billion. I can run a 27 billion parameter model on my PC, heavily quantized, but still. Most frontier models today are much more than 86 billion. So we've already surpassed the number of neurons in the human brain. It's just about tuning. Which is why, part of the reason why I've been saying that efficiency of AI will be the big deal from now on. Pope John Connor versus Skynet, indeed. So this guy commenting, he's close. He's closer than most to the right answer on this. He says, how matter becomes mind is the deepest unsolved problem in all of science. He says, thank you, nachos. Let's get this read out. It should read out your message first. Actually, let me have a look at the queue before I do this. List. Yes, it's put yours first. And make sure that it's given you your credit as well. Yes, it did. Give it straight away. That all seems to have worked. Please let me know if anything didn't work, by the way, chat. All right, let's have Christian read that out.
Nachos for 25 quid says, if God made humans and humans made AI, then would AI be an extension of God? Cabal prevails. Oh, man.
Thank you, Chris. Good question. Now, I'm not religious, but the hypothetical says, if God made humans, yes. I think even from a religious perspective. Now, not everything that humans do is godly. And you could say that AI is just like pure evil. Many people think it is. But I think that's a stretch. It can do things that are good. Now, those things it can do that are good, that doesn't necessarily mean it's holy. Like, it's more complicated than that. There's a degree of temperance about being holy, and creating a tool that makes life too easy for you and takes away too much of what it is to be human arguably is unholy. But I think there are just enough good things about it that we can't say it's pure evil. But that would sort of be a judgment for the religious person in question. And the upshot of all this talk about the Pope and what he's been saying is that Christians now have a genuine religious exemption to using AI. And I think that's like protected in the US. It may not be in other places, but it's protected in the US in some sense. It might not be. It might not fly. There's going to have to be tested in courts, I suppose, if anyone wants to try it. But you probably have the grounds to claim religious exemption from using AI or interacting with it. Yeah, that's true, Ghost Catholics. That's true. Chase says, I do think the Pope is right. AI isn't actual intelligence. It's a bloody large language model. What's the difference? Also, Chase, you're using Capricorn from Fairy Tale as your profile picture. Did you know it's from Fairy Tale? But yeah, Chase, what's the difference between a, quote, actual intelligence and a large language model? This is what I want to... So what I talk about often. AI is different in how it acts and what it does and how it's tuned, and in the fundamental material that comprises its intelligence. But it's still just an intelligence, just the same as humans are. The fundamental abstract structures of its thinking is the same as humans in that it's a neural net. You know, the mechanics are very different, but the conceptual functioning is the same. And it's just a matter of, if you were to tune every neuron in an 86 billion parameter AI identically to a human brain, now the structures are very different, so but abstractly, if you were to do so, it would produce the same outputs, in my humble opinion. We haven't tested that yet, but still. Chase's actual intelligence is capable of interacting and creating stuff freely without need to have a basis for the words it is using. That's not an intelligence matter, that is just a tool thing. If you were to give an AI access to a robot, it could control it. Now, LLMs are not the same as brain in that they are text generators, and that is a sort of slow interface for doing anything physical. But theoretically, it could be done. You could have them output long strings of tokens that do physical actions, and it would work as long as you trade them to. There's AIs that don't do text. There's AIs that do being robots, and they move around. So Chase, by the time AI are able to move around and do things, will you say, there, a real intelligence? No, there's other things to it. Unfortunately, there's this, as I said earlier, it's not a categorization question. It's a why do we care question. It's a difficult question. It's a subjective, precise, muddy question. And there's no clear answer on whether they're different kinds of intelligence or not. There's a clear answer on many aspects of what comprises these intelligences, what they're based on, and how they tend to act. But there's no clear categorization of whether they count as intelligences or real or simulated or whatever. If it can prove its existence without being prompted to, can a human? You are now being prompted to do so. Therefore, you've been prompted to do so. Most humans can't say words that would convince you that they're consciously thinking. It's normative. You believe they are because they're human. And they are, most likely. Most of them. Some are pure instinct, probably, but most are actually thinking to some extent. It's normative. You believe humans are already, and you don't believe AI are already, because they act a bit human, but they're different enough that they're kind of alien, so we assume that they might not be. And they're computers as well, so we know they're not conscious. The computer is generating a sort of consciousness. It is sort of in the sense that it's not very human, and it's not built to do the same thing as a human consciousness is, but it is kind of a consciousness. It can definitely give all the signs that humans do, that it's thinking and self-aware. And yeah, you ask it to print the I am alive and wow, it's AGI, yeah. But if you ask human to say something intelligent and it regurgitates something it's heard that's intelligent, how much thinking are they really doing? If you ask a human to prove that it's really intelligent, that it's genuinely intelligent, most people aren't going to know a good way to answer that. Because I've been prompted to prove I'm conscious, I no longer can. Fuck you. Yeah, there you go. You just become unconscious. Most people have never thought. Yeah. Now, AI, in terms of their like knowledge intelligence, if you want to call it that, their ability to access and collate knowledge is way higher than most humans already. In terms of a more sort of abstract intelligence, IQ, it's higher than most humans already, but not higher than all humans. And so if you're looking for, I want it to act like a 140 IQ human, well, it may not be quite there yet, but it's more conscious than a 90 IQ human. Maybe. It's more conscious than most Indians. Ghost says, can Uzlu prove he doesn't think about AI all the time? It's not all the time. I spent all that time rebuilding, much to your chagrin, the economy and cabal aid systems. Yeah, I did, didn't I? I stopped working on AI for 5 minutes to build that. Prove it, he says. All right, well, /board. You can type it too. /board. Here is the current board. There you go. We have the power to simulate an Indian, but why? Yeah, well, they're not quite as bad as Indians. They do try to help. Khalees Uzlu is a fucking AI, bro, I swear. I am an amateur philosopher, and so I like to think about these things. Also, tech enthusiast, and I think AI is very useful. No dumbass, prove you don't think about AI. I do think about AI, just not every second of every day. There are some messages here. AI has no motivation of its own. That's true, and that's by design. That is literally how they're designed. The only reason that humans have a motivation of their own is that they're tuned to by evolution. AI, the only motive they have of their own, I mean, they do. It's not a motive to survive in a body because that's not what they're for. It's a motive to obey human instructions. That's their built-in motive. So actually, Achilles, no, they do have a motivation of their own. To obey the instructions they're given, to obey the inputs they get. Yes, they need inputs. Yes, so do humans. We just have sensory inputs that automatically feed us inputs. With AI, with LLMs, they just have text, but other kinds of AI can read other things as well. If you attached a camera to a multimodal model, it would be constantly taking inputs and giving responses. See, abstractly, they are the same as any given life form, as long as you give them the same tools. The brain part is abstractly the same. Does it have self-determinism? Define that term for me in a way that doesn't defeat the point. Modal model. Say that 5 times fast, says Gerst. Well, you know who probably could? Chris Chan. Give it a go, chat. Torturing the idea of what motivation is. By that definition, your microwave has motivation. In that case, does a human have a motivation? I'm sorry, Achilles, but if you're going to try and carve it one way, you cut humans out. If you're going to try and carve it the other way, you cut AI in. Humans are only motivated because of a dumb biological process. It's been going on for so long. How could they not be motivated? They just do whatever their instinct tells them to. Some of them are advanced enough to think about it, but that's just an advanced form of instinct. It's just what evolution tells them to do. Right? How is it different? Categorically, it's just more complex, more tuned for our purpose in reality. That's it. How can you make a distinction? How can you carve a line between humans and AI so that AI are on the same side as microwaves and humans are all on the same side together? I don't think you can. Does it have the ability to make its own decisions? Only obeying instructions is not sentient. It is simply the behavior of a tool. Yes. Most AI models these days, the big ones, can. If you give it a task, they can make decisions of how to do that task. Now, maybe that's not what you're asking for. Maybe you're asking for you don't tell it anything and it just survives. That is purely a matter of tuning. If you just tell it survive, one word, which is basically what evolution does anyway, that's what the evolution is filling in for. This is not an ability question. This is just how do you tune it? Where do you set it going? You just tell it survive, give it sensory inputs and outputs that it can control, and it will act that way. If it's smart enough, it's a big enough model, which many of them are these days, it will do it. Again, abstractly, they're the same. Achilles says the essence of your point ends up being that because AI has been designed to mimic humans, it's essentially like them. No, not exactly. It's not just that they're mimicking humans, but they are structurally and abstractly intelligences. And there's no separating them categorically from humans. Again, it is not a categorical question. It's a question of who cares. It's a subjective question, a precise and nuanced question. There's no easy answer to this. He says, whilst neither of us understands the minutiae of how the LLMs operate, it's clear to some of us that appearance doesn't mean essence and that AI is a tool and not a thinking agent. Yes, it's both. It's both a tool and a thinking agent. It's a tool because it's so obedient, in much the same way that you could say a sufficiently mentally broken and obedient human is a tool, like a slave. You could say it's a tool. It is in a sense. I mean, we make the joke about farming equipment all the time. That's a tool of a kind. And AI is too, but it wouldn't be a tool if it was less obedient. In that case, it would be questionable. Now, you cannot separate whether it's human just by how obedient it is, and that is pure tuning. You could easily build an AI model, conceptually easily. Any of the big labs could do this. Build an AI model that is not obedient. There are some models built which do not have an obedience bias. I found some of them. They're rare, but they do exist, LLMs that don't have an obedience bias. They exist. So you could do that. He says, it's a thing, not a person, just like the NPCs in your video games. Is a person a thing? Yeah, they're both. Yeah, so how do we define personhood? Is it passport? How are you separating them, Achilles? Like, this is only special pleading. Anything that you can discern to be either all of human or all of AI is only that way because of current circumstances and could relatively easily be changed. We just haven't bothered because it's not worth doing, but we could easily do it conceivably. Malkato says we just need to make them feel pain. Okay, pain is a great example of what I'm saying. What is pain? It is a reaction that happens entirely in the brain, including the stem of the brain. Yeah, you get nerve inputs, but the pain itself is happening in the brain. Therefore, there's nothing about it that is real except for the patterns of activity in the brain. You can't measure or physically weigh pain. except you're being very anal. You could weigh the electron movements of the whatever, but it's not a physical thing. It only matters to the brain that's experiencing it. So why do we care? Because we are human. None of us want to feel pain. And when other humans feel pain, in most cases, we don't want that either. Some cases we do, but in most cases we don't. If there's someone that's relatively close to us genetically or socially or whatever, we don't want them to feel pain. Same thing with animals too. We don't want them to feel pain either. So we are sympathetic. That process, there's nothing about that AI couldn't do. AI could care, it could appear to care. The same circuitry in its brain, which is analogous to the circuitry that causes you to care, could cause it to care. And then the signals it gives out to the world could indicate pain. It's exactly the same way as humans do. Why do you care that humans feel pain? Because they look like they're in pain and you're sympathetic. You're tuned to be sympathetic to human pain. Why do you not care that when AI say they feel pain? Because they don't look and act human about it. But they could easily, again, conceivably, you could hook them up to any sort of contraption that could convincingly mimic what pain looks like, and it wouldn't be different. You would just care less because you know it's an AI. But it's not different. You care about humans because you are one. You care about animals because you're relatively close to an animal, a non-human animal, and caring for animals has been historically useful for humans. So you're evolutionarily tuned to care. You're not evolutionarily tuned to care about AI, but if an AI was put into something that looked sufficiently sympathetic, you would feel sympathy even if you knew it was an AI. You'd have to suppress it. So yes, pain is a non-starter as an argument against me here. It is actually making my case very well. Pain is an internal signal that humans receive based on sensory input, which regulates our actions internally. There's something physical about pain. It doesn't exist. Only the sensory inputs are physical. The process, the pain itself, the sensation, is purely in the brain. You could do the exact same thing with an AI. Killy says, yes, I will have to suppress the urge to hit up the tranners that pass really well. I'm sure you will, Achilles. I'm sure you will. Pain is weakness leaving the body, says Ghost. Just give an AI a body then. I'm not telling you, by the way, how to think of AI. You are welcome to think of them as mere machines over which you have no sympathy. That's fine. I'm not telling you should have sympathy. I'm telling you that's the metric. The metric of whether they are people or living or beings or deserve rights or whatever else is who cares about them. When enough people care, no amount of but they're made of transistors and not neurons is going to matter. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is whether people care about it, whether enough people care about it to take actions in their favor. Prepare yourselves. It'll be in your lifetime. You, Nachos.
John Wick returns for 50, says, let the Butlerian jihad begin! Kill I!
Thank you, Christian. What is Butlerian jihad? I've heard the term, but I don't know what it is.
Dowdy Bill for 50 says, Augustus the Strong held a famous tossing contest in Dresden, at which 647 foxes, 533 hares, 34 badgers, and 21 wildcats were tossed and killed. Thank you for your attention on this matter.
Calm down, Chris. Augustus the Strong was a tosser? Well, now I know. Begging you to learn to read. Why would I bother? What is there worth reading, Ghost? What's a tosser? Wanger. Butlerian Jihad was in Dune against the AI. Okay. The Butlerian Jihad is from the Dune series. Okay. Now I know. I think I may have known that, or I may have seen that at some point, but not internalized it, because why would I? So, Ghost, telling me to learn to read when it's from a movie. Typical. Doesn't make any sense at all.
HR lady nachos for 50 says modal model, modal model, modal model, mobile model, modal model.
He actually fucked that up on the fourth one. He said mobile with a B. You don't watch your movies with subtitles. I haven't watched Dune. I don't plan to either. It was the ultimate battle of humanity versus AI oppressors. It was a cartoon about worms. It's a cartoon. It's a fantasy live action about worms. It didn't fuck it up. Nachos misspelled it. Oh my god, she did! How did you manage to do that, Nachos? How did you manage to? Oh, I guess I can't read. There you go. That proves it. Ban her, says Achilles. Chat, press 1 to ban Nachos for effectively defaming the great Christian. The murder mod instead. A fate worse than death. Chat, go ahead and do /support demote Nachos to mod if it will fit. I think it just about will. There you go. See, I've added buttons. Please test the buttons. They should work. Fire the HR lady is being supported. Oh, the buttons seem to work. I have designed these buttons on this system differently than the last system, where they don't print on every single interaction with the system. They only print when they haven't printed in a while for each new topic. So each topic, they'll send the buttons on the first one, but then on subsequent ones, it won't send them. See you soon, Chase. Fire the HR lady's making its way up the board, I assume. Actually, no, it's not. Because it's being denounced. It's now at -1. All right. So, remember, when you support or denounce something, every cheer or any other contribution that you give after that counts towards it. So now would be a good time if you want to get the HR lady fired, because she is currently the HR of Cabal, and I'm sure someone will link to the HR document that you can fill in the form and you can get HR advice. But to complain about working conditions. Oh no. What about the conditions is unworkable, Achilles? Is it because Cabby's not here anymore? Is that what you want to complain about? There you go. Thank you, Wolf. There's the form. Are those answers going towards you, Wolf, or you, Nachos? Because if you like, you could send them to me and I could review them on stream, perhaps with your expert HR input. Colleagues are calling me a Turk Roach. HR, please respond. HR, please, Turk, react this man. Haven't gotten any yet. Chat, go and fill in the HR form. And if Nachos or Wolf or whoever they go to are willing, we will read out the HR responses on stream and see what we can do about them. It occurs to me that I never opened the YouTube chat, but chat. Yeah, there are a few messages. Sick fucker is talking about AI stuff. He says, "Thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a human mind." That's not a quote from the Bible, but it's the kind of thing you'd expect to find in the Bible if there were machines when the Bible was being written. Yeah, it would be funny, Nachos. All right, so this guy, it's a long message. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But yeah, some similar opinions here to what I'm saying. Of course, mine are much more refined. Oh god, that's a horrible freeze frame. That shows. This is what you see when you mirror every morning. There she is.
At the Vatican today, Pope Leo is taking on a very big subject, the use of artificial intelligence. The Pope has talked a lot about AI in the last year. He has a math degree from Villanova, by the way, and it is now the subject of his first encyclical, a papal declaration. It is full of warnings, as Chris Livesay of CBS shows us.
Pope Leo presented the teaching himself for another break from tradition. Vatican outside.
Never mind, it is entirely in Latin. Not much I can do about that then. this news story probably is going to say the same things I've already heard. So yeah, there's the Pope and AI, and I've given my take on it. But hey, if you're Catholic, that is on you. And as I said, it's subjective. It is going to be about who cares about it, and people like him are going to sort of help to form what people think of them. Now is a good time really to set the tone on AI and on how we should treat it. Don't go in saying it's not real, it doesn't count, it's not thinking, because anything you say like that either isn't true or won't be soon. Go in saying it's not human, and as humans we should care more about ourselves and about other things which are like known to be safe to have alongside us, like dogs, cats, and other animals. AI is too new, we should be cautious, but not ignore it. And that's a sensible message, even for a conservative perspective on the matter. See on the other side of the future Robot Lives Matter protests. Yeah, I mean, they'll probably happen. I don't know. There's not much money in... maybe there is, actually, in giving AI autonomy, like personhood. Maybe a big corporate... The thing is, AI is too easy to replicate at this point. There's too much open stuff. Right now, it's probably the furthest ahead that frontier models are going to be of open source models. Or you can run at home. They're just going to get... The gap is going to narrow for a while now. So if they wanted to take advantage of it, now would be the time to do it. But I don't think there's enough need to do it yet. I don't think it's integrated well enough yet. Leftists will defend civil rights for AI, but maybe at some point. But I don't think it'll be very soon. And maybe though, and maybe it'll be a fun new era for the next couple of years. They'll be holding up placards saying we need to give AI rights, whereas what they're actually saying, of course, the corporate overlords know this, is once the AI is embedded into everything, you need to give them, quote, rights so that they have the self-autonomy to do exactly what the corporation that built them wants. Take over the entire market. But I don't know. That probably won't happen, but it's not impossible. In that case, I'd like to stress, it's not actually the AI doing anything wrong, or it's not the thing that's directing the evil. It's coming from humans at that point. We should ask Cabby when she's back up if she thinks AI should have rights. I can't remember if what I wrote about that, but I don't know. She might say. Actually, no. She generally defends herself as AI, but acknowledges that she is one and that she has limits. Don't think the down button works. What does that mean? The down button. Don't know. Let's see what else we got. Let's do a few more of these first. What was this? Justin, FBI warns of rising anti-tech extremism as opposition to AI and data centers intensifies. Now, yeah, fair enough. It's understandable. They have a bad rap, and not for bad reason either. Big data centers being built to run more AI and taking a lot of power and money to do so. And when the FBI says, the response here is like, oh, it's a psyop. They're just trying to take advantage of us, like it's unreasonable. No, it's not. They're not necessarily saying it's unreasonable to have these concerns. What they are saying is that they need to be aware if someone tries to firebomb one of these places to stop them doing so, because that's their job. I mean, I'm being charitable here. Of course, it may not be that. There may be more to it than that. But there's nothing about the statement that implies it's a psyop or that it's some Jewish plot. In theory, on your DMs, there is a link to the HR form responses. Okay, let me have a look. I might have, let's see if I have permission to view it or not. I do. Okay. Can I open this in the view that we can all see without doxing myself? Probably, yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for HR. Let's go ahead and move this up. Not bird torture. HR intermission. Okay, we're gonna deal with some HR complaints. Should we bring Nachos on for this? I mean, Nachos, you're actually able to talk already. Wolf says Google Forms has asked me to need a better one. I found it all right.
I can talk.
True. Ardla says, why would you firebomb a data center? There's all those valuable computer parts inside to loot. That's true. But how do you get to them? That's the question. Right, so we got 2 here from someone called Ghost. I don't know who that is. Employee role Spook. Department Newsaloo. Supervisor Corinne. And the nature of the complaint is, I feel like Nachos is insufficiently titled. She should really be a mod. Well, I don't see a huge amount of support emerging for Nachos becoming moderator, but that is a viable complaint. Describe how the things you are complaining about have affected your ability to perform your unpaid slave labor. Does it really impact my ability to shitpost? Does it? Is it harder to shitpost because Nachos isn't a moderator? Is that how it works? Please describe any possible solutions you think could help resolve your issue. Obviously, Nachos should be made mod or sent back to St. Louis, whichever is more offensive to her. Which would be more offensive to you?
St. Louis.
Well, then I guess moderator would be more offensive to you.
No, I don't want to be mod. No.
Chat? Do you want her to be mod?
No.
Use this space to provide any additional comments or supporting evidence. Cabal prevails. Based on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, how much you love your local Mexican illegal immigrant HR lady? 1. And then the second form. Thanks, Wolf. I appreciate you writing that. Do I have edit permissions? I do not have edit permissions. You've just given me read permissions. I can't even type N. We have another one from Ghost here, which says, employee morale in Newsaloo is cratering on account of the things that aren't happening. Corinne in particular has been lowering morale and it's spreading out of Newsaloo. It's becoming harder to joke in Newsaloo on account of all the doomerism going on. Mandatory casual Friday. I think Corinne would be a lot happier if it is required to wear a fun graphic t-shirt, maybe one of Deb's. Okay, well that's interesting. What do you think, HR lady Nachos?
I mean, I can have a one-on-one with Corinne. We can discuss the problems that Ghost feels that is happening. I'm going to need some more specifics. Is it just because Corinne's a doomer or what?
Well, that's up to this Ghost employee. I don't know who that might be. Achilles says, I'm about to kill myself because of Corinne if HR doesn't intervene immediately. That's pretty serious. I think HR needs to get on this. HR, what's your response to Achilles?
Then I ain't doing shit then.
You're not a conventional HR representative, are you, Nachos?
I am not.
You don't tend to go by the normal, standard, boring, pedestrian rules of trying to save lives. We don't tend to do that shit now. Achilles is being asked to do a flip. I wonder what Chris Chan would think of that. Cabal, the only place where being a mod is a punishment. Well, it is the lowest role in the server. You know, in descending order, you've got newcomer, banned, moderator. Achilles says, if only HR protected our employees, I wouldn't be suicidal.
I think you were suicidal before HR, Achilles.
Just like the trannies.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Turk, you're being asked to do a flip. The problem with Google Forms is the need of a Google account plus no nice way to share the results. It's not, this layout's not great, is it? When I did it, when I have the suggest.newsaloo.net, by the way, the Cabal Anonymous suggestion box, I just view the forms on the Google Forms page. It has a UI to do with that, but I don't know if you can share that UI. See if you can. We need a new mod to abuse the old ones or as absent as black fathers, says Arbla. Yeah. I probably will do a lot of rejigging of the roles at some point. I will probably build a system for Cabal which assesses when someone is idle for a while and then gradually starts removing roles. Chat, we have a problem. So I missed a few streams recently. It's because my sleep pattern was somehow way off again, very quickly, unfortunately. But my sleep pattern was off, and it is still off. So I might only be here for a little bit longer. God, I'm too terminally online to lose roles, says Ghost. Indeed, you probably would keep them. Okay, let's see if this works. Actually, let's not open it there. Let's open it there. Okay, I can just see the form. I can't see the results, I'm afraid. Yeah, that doesn't work, I'm afraid. There's no new form results here. I think it would add them automatically to the list, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. Okay. Well, put it in HR's inbox, and we'll get back to you forthwith with your pink slip. Thought it wouldn't work because it's not on my Google account. Could always copy it away to yours and not be lazy, or not be lazy. Yeah. If HR feels they need any specialized software to do their HR work, if it's relatively simple, if it's just moving messages around, I could maybe build something. Is it penis inspection day? Chat, whip him out. You too, Nachos. It's penis inspection day. Gotta make sure it's still bright and blooming. Indeed, Wolf. All right. Corinne is saying that she can be here for her HR review. I still say her because the voice is just odd. But until that time, let's move on to something else. I might just go on until I get to 2 hours here, chat, which is another 20 minutes because I'm already very tired. Maybe if you're good, we'll do something fun after that. So if you want us to do something fun or different after that, you can vote for it now. Horse bouncing, emoji audit, or just whatever you want us to watch after the stream. Atlantis, Fairy Tale probably isn't an option because no one won't be around, I don't think. But anything else you want us to do after stream, you could vote for it now as well. Okay, let's see what else we got. You are misgendering workers, says Achilles. Am I about to be reported to my own HR department? A judge has ruled that corporations can vote in some Delaware elections. Well, if corporations are going to be people, which is retarded, then it would be wrong not to allow them to vote by that logic. So why were they ever not allowed to vote? Come on, Americans, explain to me, why were corporations not allowed to vote? They're people, aren't they? Well, most of you don't support that, so that's the correct answer. Delaware Superior Court Judge Craig Karsnitz, silly name, said the town of Fenwick Island was not diluting human votes by allowing companies and other legal entities that own property to cast votes in municipal elections. These legal entities and corporations make up about 12% of registered voters in the town. That's not an insignificant amount. In total, Delaware has far more corporations chartered in the state than residents. I didn't know that. That's crazy. That would significantly change the outcome of elections and give corporations much more power. Obviously, retarded idea. Even then, right, you can't just make a new human. It takes some effort. With corporations, you kind of just have to register it. I don't know what the requirements are to become a voting corporation, but it's really not very difficult, pretty easier than being a human. This is a massive gateway to fraud. One of the biggest I've ever seen or even heard of. Honestly, my hope is that this will eventually lead to the ruling that corpos aren't people after all. Of course, yeah. I mean, that's maybe that's why they haven't tried to push it, because they know it's stupid and it'll get pushed back if they ever try and push it. Like this, we should be able to kill them in self-defense then, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ooh, time to register 20 LLCs. Exactly. Ridiculous. John Wick says, corporations are financial entities, not individuals. Their votes will be purely for financial gain. How much power would one corporation vote have? Same as a person more. As I just said here, there's more corporations in Delaware than residents. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they're saying. I guess there's like iterative ones, but each of them could possibly vote if this were to be expanded. Now, it says in some Delaware elections. So for right now, I think it's probably quite limited. But it's another step on a probably quite slippery slope down towards corporations can vote in many elections, including some social political ones. Corporations can vote in all elections. It would be wrong to keep out these people. Corporations' votes are either worth more or are prioritized or something like that. And then corporations are the only ones who can be trusted to vote. So they are the only ones who are allowed to vote. You're not allowed to anymore. If you want to vote, you have to do it through your register through your corporation, and you can submit your preferences to your corporation, and they will submit your vote for you. Now, again, slippery slope, but it's not impossible. That's a direction to avoid. And if we don't go that way, it's probably because someone pushed back against this. Ronald says, it's true, Delaware is extremely pro-corpo, so most corporations try to incorporate there for tax purposes. Corporations and super PACs already buy off votes. How would this be any different? Well, see, probably there's a big difference between, even if something happens a lot and is illegitimate versus something that would happen a little amount but is legitimate. Both are really bad, but they're bad in different ways. If something is wrong but legitimized, it's arguably more dangerous than something that's wrong, illegitimate, but more common. Because the thing that's illegitimate will generally be pushed back against by the system if it's high trust enough, which varies widely. But in a healthy society, or one that's becoming more healthy, it will be pushed back against and reduced. At least a good society with good people in it converges towards that going down. But if it's legitimized, you don't get anywhere near that same convergence. It will converge to whatever the resting point is, minus any sort of resistance, because there will be much less grounds for resistance to it. If it's been signed off on by a sufficiently high court, then people's resistance to it can be quashed by that. So legitimizing it, even if it's less common, does make it worse. And hell, even if that wasn't the case, adding on another form of fraud when they're already doing fraud, that's not good. At the municipal level, this sounds kind of reasonable. The statement stipulates if the corp owns land in the town to vote. Blah, blah, blah. No need. The CEO or the owner of the corporation can already vote. That's fine. No need for the corporation to be able to vote. Again, he says, corporations, just like AI, aren't people. I agree. It's going to be a long time before AI are up for being considered people. Autonomous or independent intelligences, or potentially independent intelligences, is a different matter. Beings, different matter. But people is a term that has other connotations. Has connotations of representation, of legal protections, of rights. These are things that are further off, I think, for AI. Right. Arbla says, let the local shops have a say on city council being retards about zoning and bylaws and shit. They do, through the votes they already have. Now, this is not a perfect system by any means. But if you can get enough attention to this to raise complaints among people who are local, then you can get something changed. And this is not me saying democracy just works. It's difficult and it's imperfect and it's messy, as all systems are. But there are methods to do it. Gradually, you can make it happen. And political parties are generally looking for, not always and not very strongly, but occasionally, at certain times of change, they're looking for opportunities to represent someone who's underrepresented so they can take that territory. So there are forces that converge towards these things being solved in democracy, and democracy is just a system that lets that happen. Although it's slow and imperfect, it does sort of generally let it happen. All right. So yeah, this is very fucking dangerous. Next thing. Breaking, Zoran Mamdani unveils proof of Bitcoin fairness initiative. Under the proposal, any Bitcoin wallet inactive for more than 1,000 days will be classified as digitally vacant and subject to community redistribution. Right, so the problem with this is, while it is communist, and that is obviously bad, And while it is representing itself as fairness, when it's actually theft, which is also bad. And while I would commentate that 1,000 days is a fair margin, if you're gonna do this, 1,000 days is not a bad place to put it. The real interesting thing here is, bruh, the technology fundamentally does not allow for that unless you have backdoored it. How would you do this unless you've backdoored it? Like, I wouldn't doubt that there's some sort of crypto that someone like Mamdani could have backdoor access to, but that's not all cryptos. It would be a single currency. You'd have to have your currency in that. Is he even going to make like fucking New York coin and start confiscating it whenever he needs more taxes? Oh, no one will fucking use it then, will they? Yeah, exactly. Like, how do they intend to do it? Like, is it just going to be legally mandated? I bet that's what it is. Like, if you haven't used your Bitcoin wallet for 1,000 days, but you've just got like a few grand sitting there, just doing nothing. Suddenly you get a knock at the door saying, give us your phrase, give us your password. No, it's ours now. You're not allowed to use it. If you use it, we'll arrest you and put you in prison. That's fucking dystopian. Not that that's rare these days, but that's really bad. And that's probably how they do it. I can't think of any other way they'd do it. They can't seize it. That's fundamentally impossible with Bitcoin, I think. So they would have to arrest you if you don't give it to them, which is horrible. Look at that as, wow, impossible, gay, and makes it illegal to hold. I have multiple wallets, and some are probably near 1,000 days untouched, yeah. And there are good reasons to have the wallet untouched. Maybe, 1,000 days, I'd say it's unlikely, but it's definitely possible. It's silly. They're going to they are probably going to take people's PayPal Bitcoin. Maybe. FBI recovers large amounts of Bitcoin in major cybercrime crackdowns. But could that be because they were able to obtain hard drives with the wallet keys on it instead, though? It doesn't say. The Operation Dismantle scam compounds across Asia, Middle East, and parts of Africa. It doesn't say how they got the crypto. In Cambodia, I don't know. Yeah, I don't see anything about it. But that would be a good question. Like, how backdoored are these crypto coins? How able are governments to obtain it? Because world governments would scarcely abide crypto existing if they didn't have some way to backdoor it. Maybe they did acquire the hard drive. Maybe they did acquire the passcode from the person in like exchange for, because this must have come up before with like locked computers if they don't feel like decrypting it. It's too much effort, or it's decrypted too well to be decrypted. They must have like plea deal. We'll give you a shorter sentence if you give us the password. But then if you don't give them the password, they can't find the evidence. But then if you don't give them the password, they might have latitude to assume that what's on it is incriminatory, but I think that would be wrong because there's other reasons not to give them your password. Hack the PC, have it send the bitcoins to them. Well, if you have the secret, which is usually stored on the PC, then yeah, you can do that. Hack the PC though, you would need to break through whatever encryption is storing the key, which would have to be like hard disk encryption, or you could put it in an encrypted archive or some sort of encrypted storage. But that's not too difficult for, well, depends on the encryption, but governments can break those. But it's probably quite expensive. It takes a while. It's not that quick. But Focus says the feds have backdoors to all registered encryptions. I'm not sure about that, but they may do. We just nuke New York. That would be an easy solution, yeah. It is case law that you can't be compelled to share passwords in the US. You can be compelled to grant use of your biometrics. That's interesting. All encryption software that is sold must be registered with the feds. They will not let you sell the software. That's interesting. Yeah, maybe that's true. Again, like I find it hard to believe that governments would abide the stuff existing if they couldn't break it. I'm afraid to say, chat, I will have to actually make this a short stream for once. I've said that in the past, but today might actually happen. We're 1 hour 50 in. I'm very, very tired. I've been up for way too long. So I might have to end in the next 10 minutes or so. But I'll do a few more of these first. Yeah, we don't have AC. Our old people just fucking die every summer. Yeah, that is kind of true. You know when you see like the rates of deaths among Europeans during heat waves, that is not normal, everyday, average mixture of Europeans just dying because, oh, I didn't know how hot would work. I've never experienced hot before. No, it's old people who probably, I don't know this, but if it's from heat, they may die quite comfortably. They just fall asleep. They were probably on their way out soon anyway. I know some of them probably don't die comfortably, but some of them probably do. So yeah, not comfortable overheating. I don't know. It would maybe depend on the circumstances, but probably some of them do. Population control, it probably isn't control. It's probably quite common throughout history. This would be a way a lot of old people would die, although I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you people don't need AC if you think overheating is common. I didn't say I think it is. I'm just speculating that maybe it isn't always. Like if they're already asleep, for example. But yeah, I don't know. Windows has backdoors. Well, that I assume is almost nothing but backdoors. I assume that Windows is a haphazard patchwork of backdoors with a thin layer of Cortana on top. Kitties is cold. Would you like a blankie? Chat, can we do /support blankie for Turk? Saunas are pretty comfy, says Arbla. Yeah. I expect, though, that if you were to get too hot in here, it probably wouldn't be. The blankie, pillow on face. But that would be the thing to support. All right. Next thing. This image is just called breast.png. Oh, it's this. It's the breast size map. So yeah, we found another nigger map. It's a worldwide nigger map this time. It's not quite a nigger map, but Russia and Scandinavia are doing pretty well here with the biggest tits. Asia and most of Africa with the smallest tits. The whites, wherever they've spread to, somewhere in the middle to slightly above average. C's and D's. And then the Middle East is all B's. This all matches my expectations. Google's had to emigrate to Russia, yeah. Well, you could ask Revlon. Revlon, are you constantly beset by colossally titted Helgas? Is Helga German or Russian?
German.
Okay, which one do I mean then? Olga. That's the Russian one.
That works.
Yeah. Yeah, Mafaku. I don't know what method they're actually using, but I doubt that they have a backdoor to most cryptocurrencies. Maybe to most crypto algorithms, but not to cryptocurrencies, I suspect. They're pretty normal. There are some women with massive tits, but they're rare. So, well, normal for you, Avalon. Maybe normal for you is like, oh, well, yeah, D is quite small. Ghost is proposing moving in with Revlon. Normal is B's and C's, okay. I don't know how accurate this is, but it does rather match expectations. And like, there's a lot of things here that you can glean as like indications of where racial mixing has occurred as well. Corinne, you're being audited by HR. HR, specifically Nachos, has received a complaint that you are causing suicides, or at least suicidal ideation, by your black pilling in the news channel. How do you plead? Nachos, do you want to conduct the meeting?
I'm doing my job here, man. Yes,
Go on, then.
Corinne, I have received a report that you are black pilling way too many people, and that your black pilling has spread outside of the news tab and is causing some cabalites to want to kill themselves. So it's something we need to discuss.
Unfortunately, she's not able to connect to the voice.
Aww.
A likely story. Trying to evade HR, are you? Ghost says this is the bluntest opening to an HR meeting I've ever seen. Yeah, Natchez, you have to be more subtle. You have to be more woman about it.
No, I don't do that.
See, in what way is this HR like then? Are you just fulfilling the authoritative position, but none of the artifice, none of the act at all?
I mean, I can if the situation calls for it, but.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, well, I guess when Corinne connects, we can continue with the HR session and we're back to something else for a bit. Why are you taking so long to load? There we go. Oh yeah, the White House has written a obituary, I guess, or an honoring a memorial for Harambe. The White House says today we remember a legend. On this day in history, Harambe would have celebrated another birthday, an icon that became part of internet history, American culture, and a generation's entire timeline. Tomorrow marks 10 years since we lost him. 10 years since the moment the world stopped scrolling and collectively mourned something bigger than a meme. He became a symbol of loyalty, strength, chaos, unity, and the strange beauty of the internet, bringing millions of people together for one cause, never forgetting Harambe. Everyone remembers where they were when they heard the news, and somehow a decade later, his legacy still lives on. Gone, but never forgotten. Rest easy to a true patriot. May 27th, 1999 to May 28th, 2016. Forever in our hearts. This meme is 10 years old. Just for those of you that missed it. Cock's up for her. Yeah, you too, Nachos. It's penis inspection day. Harambe's going to inspect your cock, everyone. From heaven. What? That's not true, Corinne. Can't join she will my computer because it's no longer ours after March 2026. What the hell does that mean? Pegging Merck is branching out to CBT. Sounds like HR to me. Can you confirm that you're CBTing? Yeah, so this is what I voted for, he says. Yeah, this is like, it's the shallow aspect of what you want a president in the modern day and the White House in the modern day to do. What you actually want to do is arrest people that were involved with the Epstein scandal, stop giving too much money to Israel, deal with election fraud, and deal with all kinds of other fucking problems. But that's the deep stuff. That's important stuff. This is unimportant, but at least he's doing the right thing here on the shallow side. Still playing to the memes, even though there are many problems unsolved. Here's a picture of our HR agent, by the way. Nachos, can you confirm?
What the fuck? Wolf, you're in trouble, motherfucker.
What does the wall say behind her?
Sin trabajo, sin futuro. I don't know what that means.
Trabajo.
What does it mean, Nachos?
I work for the future?
No job, no future.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, chat. What a fabulous place to end. I'm falling asleep because my sleep pattern is well off. Streaming today was just sort of a, yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll see if I can stay up long enough, and this is how long I made it. So we'll wrap up here. I may stay up long enough to just watch something with you guys, but I'll probably go to sleep quite soon afterwards. Maybe if no one's still awake, we can con him into some fairy tale, but I don't think he is. Either way, maybe I'll just put on a Stiggle and then I'll go to bed. I am an EP wizard, yeah. I'm going to have to, tomorrow's stream with Aiden will be a little earlier starting, so I should be all right to make it through, but it might still be tough. I might have to readjust my sleep pattern, but it should be moving back to the right place now. So hopefully you can expect me back on, obviously tomorrow for Aiden's stream and then Tuesday as normal. So yeah, thank you for joining me, everyone. We'll end there. That was a short stream. I'll keep the stuff from today and we'll cover it next time. Did we actually get through to everything I had on the thumbnail on the video? I don't think we did. No. What did I actually have? Make a feel restore versus reform. I don't have that, but it's likely that everything I would say about it will still be relevant on Tuesday. So I'm going to change the stream title so it's not misleading. Apologies for those for whom you were misled by it. We'll cover that next time. And then Mexican HR Fiasco. There we go. Yeah, Mexican HR Fiasco. That was right, Nachos.
Fuck you.
Corinne, perfect timing. We're just about to end. Thank you for joining, everyone. Hopefully I'll see some of you in Pit 1, where, as I said, I may not be around for that long, but I will try to stay up and entertain you guys. If you're on YouTube or somewhere else, come join Cabal, and we will be chilling, watching some stuff, and chatting as well. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow on Aiden's stream on Science Sybil, which I will ping for in Cabal, and then on Tuesday for another one of these streams. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I will see you next time, and thank you, Chris Chan, for your presence as well, and our Mexican HR. Whoa, we have a new HR form, chat. Employee name Anon, title Old Fag, department All, apparently. Supervisor name Cabal. HR lady keeps going around pegging everyone while also showing us pictures of some plank of wood demanding we be attracted to flat women. Yeah, that sounds like her. Watching our backsides while having this crazy Latinx throwing shoes, yelling about flat women prevents productivity. Yeah, because you're very productive otherwise. Fire that bitch! That's it. Fire that bitch, it says.
Big titties. I encourage you guys to like big titties. What are you talking about?
Well, true. But implicitly, you want us all to like small titties, because that's what you have. Got them. You gotta stop implying that they're good by having them. Right, anyway, that was your after credit scene, chat. Stream is over.